Aloha, and welcome to Trust and Verify, the only show where the host always tells you, don't trust me, verify it. Tonight, I have to introduce my friend, my partner, my co-host, Boogie Bumper. Boogie, how's it going, brother?
It's going good, but you're sending me two versions of you.
Am I really?
And now you're sending me as well.
There you go. Now you should be able to hear me better.
Beautiful. Sounding good. Yeah,
I'm a rookie.
well,
This is my first day producing.
You've been very busy. It's amazing that you're able to schedule this in, but just for one more time, now that we're actually speaking, and for the Trust and Verify audience, on behalf of everyone, James, I want to wish you a very, very, very happy 72nd birthday. Although Father Time has not treated you well, my friend, in the looks department, they say that 72 is the new 65. So hopefully we'll have you around for a few years yet. hopefully you can make it a few years. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Please share this old man's show out if you would. Thanks once again. I've got plenty to get through, James. Look at everyone in the chat here. Sin Soaked, Christian Lamar, thanks for joining us. The General Eaton, J-Dub, J Wink, Jay, and everyone else. Anyone I might have forgotten. Thanks everyone for joining us. It's going to be a hell of a show. I've actually got a few bombs to throw at you, James.
Nice.
A few bombs. Should we just get right into it?
Let's kick it.
You ready? All right. As I often say, we have different roles here. My role is to lead people to the ledge and ask them politely to jump. And your role is to talk them back and say, don't listen to that guy. We don't even see his face. He's a foreigner from another country. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Here's James from one of our favorite CNN. Inside the White House, aides and advisors are despondent over a wasted month, James. I don't know. I got plenty done in the last month, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Got plenty of stuff done. Yeah, we never stop working. I guess that's what happens when you don't take government money. As President Donald Trump announced in the Rose Garden on Friday that his quixotic bid to secure more than $5 billion for a border wall would end with no money, he was met with applause from his cabinet secretary and the clapping belied a pervasive sense of defeat, James. The stench of defeat was almost as overpowering as the stench of racism, which is an ever-present smell in the Trump White House. Instead of emerging victorious, James, many of Trump's allies are walking away from a record-breaking government shutdown, feeling outplayed, not least by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the master gambler, James. She's the master of negotiations. Literally the most unpopular House Speaker on the Democrat side of all time.
Did you see?
I believe she...
Did you see that 24%? 24% approval.
24% approval. Wow, she's the master, though. She's the master. She's going to be the next president, James. The president is now more unpopular. Have you heard that theory getting floated around? If only we get rid of Trump and get rid of Pence, then Nancy's next in line. Yep. She's just waiting, raring to go. And with performances like this, who wouldn't want her running the country? The president is now more unpopular than he was before the shutdown began, James, sacked with the blame for the 35-day lapse in funding. Friday's announcement was an extraordinary come-down that left many in the White House and those who support Trump marveling at the futility of the preceding 4 weeks of brinkmanship. Nothing happened. Nothing going on. There's nothing going on. In the eyes of some aides and outside advisors, an entire fruitless month has passed that cannot be recouped. A waste of the most valuable asset a White House has, James, the president's attention and time. One senior Trump advisor, who is not named, obviously, in this article, said, a humiliating loss for a man that rarely loses, quote, I miss winning. Oh, I miss winning.
Wait, what? Wait, they said that was a quote?
That was a quote from an unnamed source, James. You'll get that unnamed source. Senior Trump advisor.
Oh, my God. Who would print that? Who would print that?
You knew this was coming, though, right? You knew this was coming. You knew this stuff was going to come. Bruce Trump faces uncertain 2020 prospects, James. His team fears a primary fight. Yeah, I haven't even started yet. What do you control yourself?
Dude, did you see? I mean, it's like apparently they wrote this in isolation and never saw that the RNC, the Republican National Committee, unanimously, 110% of the people unanimously are behind Donald Trump. No primary. Boom. That's it. They've already done. Like, how do you write this piece of shit?
Well, Maggie Haberman says otherwise, James, at the New York Times. Let's not forget Maggie. President Trump's defeat in his border wall standoff with Congress has clouded his already perilous path to a second term in 2020. It's going to be an uphill battle, James. It's an uphill battle. Undercutting Mr. Trump's cherished image as a forceful leader and deft negotiator, and emboldening alike his Democratic challengers and Republican dissenters who hope to block his re-election, James. Here's the thing, right? I tend to be on your side, but are we talking about the optics game here? Because here's what happened. On Thursday night, I actually said, you know what? I don't think the Democrats have done too bad here. They've changed their language changed over the last couple of weeks. I'm sure you noticed. They went from Trump needs to end the shutdown to we will not give in. And one is a passive tone. Obviously, you're putting the responsibility on him. The other one is a more aggressive tone in that, like, we're ready for war kind of thing. So, which leads me to believe that they probably had some internal polling suggesting that the opinion was starting to go their way, was starting to flip around, and they felt like then they could turn the screws. So I wasn't entirely surprised. So I had people telling me I'm crazy, I'm reading fake news, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then the very next day he came out and said, okay, I'm going to pay everyone for the next 3 weeks. So I was kind of vindicated in that sense, whatever the reasons are. Here's something that's playing on my mind, James, and maybe you can walk me off the ledge, as is the title of the show. Donald Trump has previously, you know, if you're going to be the hard taskmaster, right, if you're going to be the guy who swings the axe, I think at some point it's on you to swing it. Mm-hmm. So we are a long time away from a few old missiles being fired into Syria, right? That was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And that was more for the foreign audience rather than the domestic audience, I suspect. So here's the thing. Look, I can call a national emergency if I want and build a wall that way. Or, you know, we can lay off all of these government workers, right? He touts the most extreme end of the scale in terms of his options, but then doesn't do it. So we went to day 35. There were no mass layoffs. Now, people, it's going to be very easy for people, considering that most people are not policy wonks and most people aren't political junkies like you and I are. We are a very, 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 very tiny minority of people. Most people will be watching football. Most people will be watching the Kardashians, and whatever news they get from the White House will be in 30-second sound grabs, which is probably part of the reason why traditional news media is dying, and we'll get into that later on as well. So when you consider all of these things, right, how does it look then for you might laugh when they say, oh, Trump caved, but then even the low information person can say two things, and it's obvious, right? The GOP held all three houses for the last 2 years and didn't build the wall. That's an effective line. And it's true, right? Even though the details might be different because it would have been very difficult. They couldn't even get, you know, Obamacare repealed and stuff, but that doesn't matter to people. The other one is, if it was an emergency, why wait 3 weeks? And to that, I think there's a point. And I think there is a pretty strong point to that. Now, people have all sorts of reasons why you would have to do this 3-week thing. But I think in terms of the larger scale for people who are only half paying attention, it just didn't work out the way Trump wanted it to, I think. Am I wrong or what?
Yes, I think you are wrong in the assessment on the overall, just on how you ended that. But here, let me bring this up. I'm going to bring something up here on screen here. This is the important aspect to what it answers exactly what you just said. I'm sure you'll pick up on it. We are not even into February, and the cost of illegal immigration so far this year is 18 million, or wait, hold on, let me count those numbers. 18,959,495,168. Don't forget the $8. Like, think about that. He deliberately wrote out the entire number. These tweets right here is what everybody needs to be pushing from this point forward. you need to understand the next line here. Cost just Friday was $603,331,392. There are at least, this is the key number, 25,772,342 illegal aliens, not the 11 million that have been reported for years in our country. So ridiculous. Notice the end is DHS. Why? He is giving you all of the State of the Union preemptively. He is getting the information to you. What he just quoted in that tweet is the statistics that the Democrats didn't want to listen to. Remember that meeting in the Oval Office where the Democrats were supposed to listen to DHS and DHS was going to give them the facts? They didn't want to hear it. Look at why. The number right there is right. That's the reason they didn't want to hear it. 25,772,342 illegals in this country. Think about how specific these numbers are. Those aren't estimates. Those are documented numbers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be down to the dollar, to the, you know what I'm saying, to the ones column. Okay? That's the key takeaway here. Is so when you ask the question, what is Donald Trump setting up here? Why are we waiting? Well, the truth is we're not waiting. But like you just said, most of the people in America aren't like you, me, and our audience. They're not policy wonks. They're not out here paying attention to absolutely every detail. So what does Donald Trump have to do? He has to get the information to America. Why does Nancy Pelosi not want him to do State of the Union? Donald Trump's going to say to the entire country on the State of the Union how much it just cost us Friday. And he's going to say, all this bullshit number of 11 million the left's been feeding you? Yeah, no. Let me tell you how many people are actually in America. As of Thursday, January 23rd, it was 25,772,342. Exactly 2 illegal aliens in this country. These are powerful numbers. This is why you cannot concede language to these people. You can, when they say 11 million, you say 25,772,342 illegal motherfuckers are in this country right now. Do you understand this? Okay. So Donald Trump has got to maneuver this entire thing, and he's not stopped. Look, we've been documenting for weeks on weeks on weeks. The wall's being built right now. Troops are being sent to the border. We know all about the 9, 10, 11, 12,000 people that are coming up in the next invasion wave. We already know that they're coming, and think about the timing. Why is the date set where it is to where he's going to make a strong declaration? Because he's going to take his case directly to the American people. That's what he's doing here. We haven't stopped behind the scenes. And now,
whoa. Can I interrupt for a second? Are you saying that the 3 weeks is timed for the arrival of a caravan?
Yes.
Like, would that be a reason for the 3 week? Okay, I'll give you 3 weeks to come up with something, and in the meantime, you can build the crisis.
Yep.
Not saying artificially. You know what I'm saying, though.
Yes.
Like allow it to hit, allow it to happen,
right.
so it's front and center.
That's right. All these things are going to be layered. It's one after another, after another, after another. That all of the things are being layered out to the American people in ways that the American people can't avoid hearing. That's why it's very important to push these numbers of 25 million out there, because I want to be clear to all of you, you want the left to start talking shit about you. You want the left to say, oh, look at these fruitcakes, 25 million. This is what you actually want to happen. This is how you raise profile. And remember, Boogie and I have been talking about this all along. This is why AOC is successful. This is why, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something else today. Senator Warren has become much more effective on Twitter all of a sudden. And they're doing the same tactic. They're raising their profile. It doesn't matter what they say. I can prove it to you. Any one of you right now, just pick one crazy thing to say. Just pick one crazy thing to say and just be a little bit wrong. And then blast the shit out of it and watch your profile raise. I'm telling you, this is how these people are manipulating the scenario. They're completely using social media in the same kind of way that Donald Trump does. So it's This is what they're doing. It's the same thing here. We're going to craft the message so that the American people get it.
I saw an Elizabeth Warren tweet, I think it was yesterday, James, where she quoted a story about an NFL owner buying a yacht and said, oh, all the yachtless people, this is why I want my 70% or the ultra millionaire tax. And of course that the thread was filled up with people saying, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, making economic arguments. That's not the point. The point is she obviously identified that most of the country at this stage is going to be talking about football. And so, like, while it's a hot button topic with all the hashtags, she hijacked it on the back of it. And next thing you know, it's got, 20,000 retweets or something of people who hate it retweeting it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a talent. People who hate Donald Trump quote him and retweet him.
That's right.
And so they're figuring this shit out, right? They're figuring this shit out. Yeah, interesting. Like you say that about the 3 weeks, now you're going to be accused of, oh my God, this is heartless. Donald Trump is playing politics with people's lives. Again, I made the point on Thursday night. Let's just assume that everybody in politics is playing politics all of the time. And then if we can make that our foundation stone from which we have further discussion, then I think we'll all get on a lot better. Let's just assume that, no one side is always, doing the heartfelt, playing it straight up and down. Politics is politics, and people play politics when they're in politics. There is no avoiding it. That's just the way it is, and that's the way it's always been.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. I just want to add a caveat, which is Donald Trump is not stopping from what is necessary to defend against the caravan as legally as he can. He's already issued executive order as of last year on exactly how to handle these things, and he's sending troops. He's sending as many people. He's directed all his department heads. You can tell DHS is on top of this. Everybody's sending everything that legally can be done as fast as they can do it. So, yes, he's playing politics 100%, but he's also not abdicating his responsibility. That's why he's going to, like Sarah, look, I'm sorry. I just want to be clear here. Not only has Donald Trump said he's going to build the wall on February 15th with or without the Democrats, he's also said, let me first say, Sarah Sanders has also said it as recently as 2 days ago. And today, Mick Mulvaney also said it. Like, these are important administration officials telling you the wall's going up no matter what. Now, what you pointed to earlier, which was that the Democrats have figured out that they've gone ahead and said, oh, well, we're just not going to let it happen, right? So that's why we've told you. I told you, in fact, I can say this without a doubt. 2 years ago, I told everybody we just got funding for the wall. Okay? I told everybody the day the first military bill got through Congress and signed by the president, I said, we just got the funding for the wall. Everybody thought I was full of shit except for my longtime followers. What am I being proven right of today? This is what's going to happen. So I proved that. Another thing I said, as soon as it happened by Donald Trump, you just watched Joint Base the Wall become formed. What is happening? Military at the base. Military went to the border. He's appointed the defense secretary as in charge of the border to make sure of border security. What's going to happen? They're never leaving. Like, all these things that I said years ago are being proven out because we're paying attention to what the timeline is. So when Donald Trump just the other day rerouted that and basically forced them to now never fund the wall, we already knew this 2 years ago that they were never going to fund the wall. That's how long ago the president knew they were never going to fund the wall. They promised their constituents they would never fund the wall. Now the left, and we've discussed this. We have discussed this. They have a way to win here. The way to win is to fund the wall. That's their escape route. Okay? Yep. By them not funding the wall, they think in their twisted little minds that they've got a win here. The only thing they've done is shore up their base. But what do they not get credit for with the middle of the country? The entire country's security. So now they can't point fingers so much. Everything, every single win is a Donald Trump win solo. It's a Republican win solo. Like, literally, they're not smart enough to see this. And that's why you can tell Donald Trump is a master at what is going on here. Because we knew about this 2 years ago.
Yeah, James, I don't know. The good people of Slate disagree, James. They say that Nancy Pelosi is actually the master here. You want to check in? Check in and see what Slate's got to say. It's called the Pelosi method. The Pelosi method, James. As Trump prepared to cave on the shutdown, Pelosi revealed she stands up to an obstinate president. There's a beautiful picture of Nancy looking half drunk in the morning. Around noon on Friday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was expecting some sort of action to end the shutdown to come within the hour. She wasn't sure exactly what. I guess he's going to be saying something about how he's going to build a wall, she told a roundtable of journalists in the conference room of her suite of offices. Hopefully, he will understand that he can't go down that path of any discussion until government is open. Of course, over the next hour, Pelosi took reporters' questions and occasional interruptions when a staffer would slip her notes. Around 12:35, she received one such note. She told the staffer that the caller would need to wait a couple of minutes or perhaps someone else on staff could call back. It's Chuck, she told the room, referring to Senate Democrat leader. It could be big. I don't know. See the drama, James. Dun, 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 dun. Chuck's on the phone. It could be big. It was. Trump had caved, James. Trump had caved. We won! We won! We won! Mission accomplished.
Oh, my God. I'm dying.
We should have got her on a battle cruiser. Mission accomplished. Or sitting on top of a tank. On the ropes, as he faced atrocious polling numbers, Senate Republicans on the verge of mutiny halts to flights at major East Coast airports on Friday, and no-shows at work from thousands of IRS employees. Oh, what a tragedy. President Donald Trump went, geez, if there's anyone I want working, it's the tax man. President Donald Trump went along with a Senate plan to reopen the government for 3 weeks without any border wall funding, an idea he'd rejected several times since the shutdown began. But that's not necessarily true, is it? Because there was no plan for 3 weeks of funding. They said just reopen the government and we'll just continue to debate ad nauseum into the future, which will go on forever, and there'll never be a wall, basically. Mm-hmm. I agree with your analysis that the Democrats are never going to support the wall. He is giving them an escape hatch here, and he's also giving a plausible reason to go around them. And he can say, look, it was a record-breaking shutdown. I reopened the government for 3 more weeks. After all of that time, they still refused to do a deal. Right. Now I'm doing crisis. So he gets legitimate, right? Yep. He has a legitimate case to bring. If he declares a crisis earlier on, even like a couple of my friends, a couple of people I talk to, behind the scenes say, don't agree with the emergency line. I don't like the emergency way. I don't like the emergency tactic. But if you can let the pressure build and build and build and build to breaking point, then maybe you can make a case for it where you can get those kinds of people on board. Maybe some people will just be, ultra libertarian and never go for it. No, never, ever, ever, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's a risk you've got to take. A conference committee between House and Senate negotiators will try to reach a border security deal over the next 3 weeks, James. In other words, after shutting down part of the government for 35 days, Trump secured $0 for his proposed border wall. Pelosi and Schumer, who refused to negotiate on the wall, now we admit they refused to negotiate. Last week, it was like, no, we're trying to do everything. We're trying to do everything. He won't even do a deal with us. Now they refuse to negotiate because they're tough, James. They're tough. They didn't stand down. Remember, in the beginning, Trump had to end the shutdown. By the end of it, it was, we will not give in. The only spin that Trump could come up with in announcing the deal at the White House was that he had successfully impressed the importance of physical barriers upon congressional Democrats, dozens of whom had reached out to him saying they were ready to do a deal on the wall. That may or may not be true. What do you mean that may or may not be true? Where's the follow-up reporting? Hey, shouldn't you be asking questions here, Slate? Especially if the title of the piece is The Pelosi Method and you're touting her successful negotiating tactics. Now it seems like half of her team are actually calling Donald Trump going, yeah, you know what? We can do a wall. What the fuck?
Dude, so I just want to point out 2 things. The first is that Donald Trump put in a tweet, just tweeted, that he said, everybody's saying that this immigration is going to be a 2020 issue. And he literally said, they have no idea how big this issue is going to be. Like, he's literally telling you, oh, yeah, Not only are we building the wall, but I'm going to shove the entire wall so far up the Democrats' ass that they won't be able to say anything else. All they'll be able to do is try to pick the wall out of their ass. Literally, that's what the President of the United States just said. And I want to say one more thing about that article specifically. Lady Fritz had the best freaking comment. I was almost dying laughing in the middle of you reading it. So that's why I covered my mouth, because she said, the Pelosi method. That's the new birth control strategy for the left.
Fantastic. Well, after the last couple of days, James, a lot of pundits in the corporate press have been touting Nancy Pelosi's ability to stand up to Donald Trump, her strategic prowess, his lack of strategic prowess, but also Nancy Pelosi's ability to unite the party, James. You know, Donald Trump with this move has just united the Democrats. Now they're stronger than ever. They're ready to go. They're a fit, trim fighting unit, apparently, James. I've got news for you. Not so. Let me put this up for you. This is one of those ones you're going to have to read between the lines from Vox, who we haven't seen for quite some time. The silent majority of Democratic House freshmen. Most of the new Democrats in the House are more moderate than you think. Hello. Are we trying to distance ourselves from the hard left likes of occasional Cortex? Now I'm saying it. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, James. Are we trying to distance ourselves? Look at this. In the nicest possible way, of course. National attention has focused on a handful of young left-wing first-time members of Congress elected to safe seats. But realistically, the future of the House lies with a larger group of Democrats who, quote, eked out narrow wins in newly purple districts. They know that this isn't the big groundswell that they wanted. They know that a lot of these people, if they're going to retain the House in 2020, they can't be associated with the hard left edge of the Democrat Party, James, because in newly purple districts, shit like 80% taxes and full-blown socialism, it doesn't play real well out in the sticks. You know what I mean? And these people know it. So now they're running cover for the newly, because you've got to retain. You've got to retain your seats. If you can't retain, you're going to lose government. Most of the freshmen come from swing districts, Rep. Tom Malinowski said, who beat four-term incumbent Republican Leonard Lance by 5 points. We come from places where voters want us to focus on getting things done that can actually be achieved, i.e. not rampant socialism. Katie Hill, who defeated GOP Rep. Steve Knight in Los Angeles district, long held by Republicans, says she is a pragmatic progressive. Yes, I love this framing, don't you? I am a pragmatic progressive, James. Tea Party stalwart Dave Bratt calls it passionate pragmatism. Whatever you call it, these members are less interested in a 70% tax rate or a Green New Deal than they are in passing targeted fixes to protect the Affordable Care Act and lower the cost of healthcare. This is middle-class issues, right? Issues that appeal to class, lower middle class people in these districts. Promoting renewable energy, that even might be a little bit too fringe come 2020. Looking for an infrastructure deal to fix crumbling roads and boost rural broadband. Yes, I can see that. Speed up slow internet in their districts. They're happy to discuss the more ambitious policy ideas animating the left. That is code for Ocasio-Cortez is dominant conversation space by her social media prowess, like Medicare for all, but they still have serious reservations, James. And just further to that, an opinion piece in the New York Times. Look at this. The loneliness of the moderate Democrat. Do you see what's happening here?
Did you ever?
What's happening here?
Do you remember George Carlin? You know, about the restaurant for bulimics? The Lonely Plates.
It takes a lot of spine to be a centrist in America today, James. Providence, Rhode Island. I found a significantly accomplished, defensively qualified Democratic office holder who isn't flirting with and hasn't fantasized about a presidential run in 2020. I had to take a train to Rhode Island where we talked over pizza and eggplant parmigiana. We drank wine. It helps these days. The article goes on to say that this Democrat governor from Rhode Island is a centrist and she gets bashed from the left and the right. I see a shift happening, especially in the reporting, and it's more than just these two. These are the two articles I picked out from the last week, where the Democrat sycophants and the surrogates are now going to be working on reshaping. It is exactly the kind of MO that we discussed for the upcoming 2020 campaign. I think a lot of people see, the hard left figures are getting all the run for the presidential run in 2020. And, not hardline, maybe more blue doggy kind of Democrats, or more realistic, more rational Democrats, James, would probably understand that the hard left socialist, although might win in a primary, probably doesn't stand a chance in a presidential election proper. So it's going to be their job to promote, the middle of the road, the centrists, the quote unquote moderate Democrats, in an effort as best they can to keep the hard left wing, which is getting increasingly confident, increasingly vocal, in an effort to keep them under control. But you've got to do it in the nicest way possible, don't you? Because you can't have infighting, you can't punch left. So it's like, hey, we're all on the same team here, but it's really hard being a moderate Democrat, and we need to protect the newly elected people who just got elected in purple states by overthrowing Republican seats, of which there are many, far more than there are far left socialists, although far left socialists seem to be dominating the news cycle and dominating social media. What do you think? Is this a wedge we can exploit or what?
Absolutely, it's a wedge we can exploit. Look at AOC, Occasional Cortex, already is a bull in the china shop. She broke ranks on her vote, and she called them out in public. And the media, they don't know what to do. They're stuck in this. Well, we're supposed to promote her, but we're not supposed to promote this. But how do we cover that? So we've got them already off balance with her. So we got to exploit that. But I want to point out a thing that people underestimate: her political abilities of at least her team. Forget her. We know she says some dumbass shit, but the political prowess that she's showing, I'm gonna express something that people aren't gonna like. The Green New Deal. Everybody talks shit about it, but it's effective marketing. See, it's stupid. The shit behind it is stupid, but the title is effective marketing. What do these people that are Democrats remember that they really love? They really love the New Deal. What else do they really love? Climate change. She tied both of their major favorite issues together with a single, simple, 3-word title: the New Green Deal. Yep. I want you to understand that that's effective marketing. We have to take shit like that down. So we have to figure out one of the things that we have going for us that is one of the most effective marketing in the planet that takes down their ideas is actually stuff like Blexit. Okay? These people are the front line fighting for us, like right now. Blexit, walk away, those are huge movements of people that were Democrats walking away, leaving the Democrat Party. So you just don't, whenever you completely discredit somebody, you literally cut yourself off from your own thoughts, because you have minimized learning anything from that person. And so, although I like to laugh with you and I joke around and I call her Occasional Cortex, you see that I've been calling out her danger to us every step of the way, because I'm not blind to the fact that she has got skill set politically that is dangerous to this country. So, you there?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's little things like that can go a long way. And people, if you don't believe me, then why is MAGA still around? Why is that slogan still here? It's not here because it didn't work. That's for sure. It's here because things stick. And the genius of MAGA, it's subtle, but it's there because I've spoken about it before. Make America Great Again it plays on people's nostalgia. So without actually pointing to anything, he's not pointing to anything specific, but people can look back with rose-colored glasses, James, and think of a time when, they were happier or things were better, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be a thing. It can just be things, right? And so he reaches back into your memory, brings it into the present, and then projects it into the future. So let's make it great again. Let's do it one more time, right? That's why it's such a successful and positive slogan. And that's why, that's why the opponents have to come up with ridiculous things like it's racist, because they understand how effective and popular it actually is, how good it is. So, I'm not saying calling it racist didn't work. So if you think calling the Green New Deal stupid is going to work, I'm sorry, I've got news for you. It's not. It's going to work one way or another.
Oh, absolutely. See, one of the things that the Democrats and the Republicans actually, like, I'm going to speak just for me for a second, is right. And for Boogie, because I know I can speak for him on this subject, is that let's look at a guy like one of his followers, Lucifer Sam. Okay, that's his handle. We don't support Luciferianism before you go freaking out. Okay, but Lucifer Sam is a Democrat moderate. He's one of the guys that you can do what we should be able to do, which is argue and debate and let the debate inform the public far enough to inform policy. He's a guy that understands he wants his guns, he wants no taxes, he wants to be able to take care of people, right? Like, these are things that are common threads amongst the people of MAGA and the people that were Democrats or are Democrats that are moderates, like what the article was just talking about. Right, is the true moderate Democrat, not the fake politicians. We're talking about the people of the country. So we have to be careful here that we don't get so, quote unquote, triggered by the stupidity of people like Occasional Cortex that makes us start, like, literally lambasting and affecting those moderate Democrats that actually are just on the opposite side of one small or two small arguments that we could literally continue the debate for the country. So we got to be careful here, but we have to call out the bullshit and we have to see through what they're doing, what's their plan, and then we don't necessarily have to defend. Again, remember, I'm the guy that says we don't defend, we attack. So we have to see what they're doing in order to know where do we attack around them. How do we go, okay, this is their objective. How do I get here before they do? And so that's more the point. If you know where they're headed, you know how to cut them off at the pass.
Yep. And I have to say it one more time. Donald Trump was elected by appealing to traditional Democrat voters in the blue wall states. If he doesn't win the blue wall states, there's no President Trump. It's that simple. And it was a hard slog to win those states that have been Democrat for 3 decades, James. But he did it. And there's a reason that he did it. And it was by appealing to certain things that go across political lines, right? Just like genuine, hey, I just want a job. Let's bring our factories back, right? That kind of thing. That's what got it done. So, a lot of people the day after the election were like, screw the whole left, screw all the Democrats. I'm like, whoa, no. Same thing happened with the Brexit vote. A lot of, traditional Labour voters voted for Brexit in the Northeast. That's the power of populism, right? Now, of course, everybody's got their own values and their own principles and their own ideals, right? But here's the thing. If you don't go a winning strategy, then you're going to lose a lot more than a few Democrat voters, right? You're going to lose everything in 2020. That's the problem.
Yep. Here's a great quote. I got to say, the chat room. The chat room's on fire today, by the way, guys. You guys are making excellent comments. You guys are all over this. We always say we have the smartest audience all out in new media. But I want to give a shout out here to Taton Kadeb. Tatonka, sorry, I can't even fucking read. Tatonka Deb. Tatonka Deb wrote a great comment. She says, call evil out. Don't demonize people. Excellent comment.
Love it. Well, unfortunately, we're about to demonize someone. So let me throw this article. Great comment. Great comment. Now let's piss all over it. This was sent through by listener James, I believe, Key Wizard. Willie Brown admits it. Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. Don, don, don. Where's Kamala Harris's Me Too moment, by the way? Like, if you want a successful strategy, come out and do that. Come out and say, well, I was forced. Like, I was pressured into this affair. She would win. She'd be a president. She'd be a president in 2020 if she did that. But then, of course, she'd have to admit that she's not, as powerful as she says she is, which is going to be a problem. Kamala Harris, that vaunted self-righteous feminist candidate who's using her year of the woman chops to challenge President Trump in 2020, has a little problem. She slept her way to the top. James, women use sex to further their career? I'm shocked.
No, never. It's never happened before.
This has never happened before. Yeah, you remember Donald Trump's infamous grab them on the and, they'll throw themselves at you. You can do whatever you want. Apparently, it goes both ways, James. And the mistress thing, not exactly moving up on past or hard work or merit. That little advantage of good looks, President Obama called her the best-looking state attorney general. Isn't that sexist from President Obama? Just quietly. I thought we don't like judging. I thought we don't like judging politicians on their looks or their women on their looks. I thought it was all about merit, James. And then we've got smooth Barry Obama coming out and saying, well, she's one fine piece of ass. I tell you what, that is one fine piece of ass you got there for a state attorney general. I mean, the guy's a pig. He's practically grabbing her on the employed to their optimal practical use. Her political patron, former lawyer to pimps, mayor of San Francisco and state assembly speaker Willie Brown, admitted he helped her get her political start. And he wrote in his blog. But look at the difference in framing here. That's American Thinker. We're going a little bit outside our left-wing only sources for that one. But here it is in the San Francisco Chronicle. Sure, I dated Kamala Harris. So what?
So what?
So what? What of it? See, that's what I want to see more of too. That's what we've been calling for on the Republican side for a long time, because we know that the corporate press is going to magnify indiscretions on one side and minimize indiscretions on the other side. Just do that. So what?
Yep.
So what?
Exactly.
You know, like whatever the drama is, just say, so what? Who cares?
Yep.
I don't care what you think. That's what they do. I mean, I read the story the other night, James, about Hakeem Jeffries, who he said there is a grand wizard living in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he was talking about the cleaner or the gardener, I don't think he was. You know, he was probably talking about the president. He came out and said, well, I'm not calling him a racist, but I defend my comparison.
Yeah.
So hang on, you're like, what? That's doublethink, right? You can't defend your comparison if you don't think he's a racist, because you just called him a grand wizard. So one goes with the other. But these people don't care. They just say, no, I'm not backing down from that statement. No way. Yes, we dated. It was more than 20 years ago. Yes, I may have influenced her career by appointing her to 2 state commissions when I was Assembly Speaker. So what? So what? Look at the way he admits it.
Dude,
that's balls.
You know what? Yeah, it's
balls.
not only is it balls, but he denied it at the time, like vociferously everywhere. And then, like, he's literally talking because I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations has run out, because what he did is a fucking crime. It's a crime both in the state and in federal, because he basically was bribed, blackmailed, and allowed political influence to make him do something. And he's admitting it right here. Like, he is so not afraid of going to prison for that.
Yeah, but, you know, again, James, on the other hand, he got yeah. Hit that. And I certainly helped her first race for district attorney in San Francisco. I have also helped the careers of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, and Dianne Feinstein. Willie Brown gets around, ladies and gentlemen.
Did he have sex with all of them? Is that what he's saying?
I think that's what he's saying.
I think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying that so what? Every one of these people blew me, and every one of them I helped.
Great comment in the chat, James. Talk about a wet willy. The difference is that Harris is the only one who, after I helped her, sent word that I would be indicted if I so much as jaywalked while she was DA. Yes, and I'm sure she meant it. Or maybe she was just jilted that, you know, she wasn't getting tapped anymore. I don't know, Willie. You tell me. But here's the beautiful irony of it. For the last 2 years, they've been playing up Donald Trump's, you know, alleged, perhaps real sexual indiscretions, you know, in his own time, his alleged extramarital affairs. And they've been saying it's horrible, it's bad. People like you and me have been saying they're only doing this because they know that a lot of evangelicals vote for Trump. They're trying to pry away Trump supporters. The reason that they're going to play it this way is, well, I'm an empowered woman. I can sleep with whoever I want. All of a sudden, it's okay, right? It's going to be fine. And their supporters won't give 2 jots. All of a sudden, all of the talk about having affairs will be, you know, null and void. Nobody will care about having an affair anymore. And it'll be like, why are you prying into somebody's personal business? And you'll be saying, wait, for the last 2 years, you were just hammering Donald Trump for having affairs. And I'll go, so what? It's different. It's different. And then that's all they'll say. And you'll be pulling your hair out going, oh my God, I can't reach these people. And then you'll have an epiphany. Yes, don't try. Don't try to reach these people. You cannot win on playing on their terms. You cannot win playing their game. You have to play your own game, play it better. Kamala Harris, has she got a chance, James?
No chance in hell. Like, she has
What if
no
she
chance
slept
in
with
hell.
What if she slept with Donald Trump?
Kamala Harris has no chance, and it has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with the right. Kamala Harris has no chance because the left doesn't like her. Look, the people in power at the DNC will never let Kamala Harris run because they know she can't win. She can't even win her own base because there are the Democrats I just spoke about. The middle of the road, moderate Democrats cannot stand that what just happened. That news article right there. That's actually enough to turn off her base. The people in the middle, not the freaking crazy fringe leftists. No, the ones in the middle. They don't like the fact that she slept her way to the top and that they played games and that there's obvious, blatant, in-your-face corruption that occurred. Like, the middle of the road Democrats are just like us. They fucking hate the corruption. It's why they voted for Trump. Like, the number one reason the middle of the road Democrats voted for Trump literally was lock her up because of the two-tier justice system. You know, that's what that represents, right? Is the corruption in our government. That everything is fucking for sale. Everything is corrupt. The reason that these people want to be committee chairmen is because they get to set the price for how much it costs to get legislation through our government. This is literally, everybody knows this. There's no hidden things here. Like, and those middle of the road, what do we call those? What do you always call them? It's some kind of Democrat that you always call them, the middle of the road guys.
The blue dogs.
The blue dogs. There you go. Those blue dogs cannot stand the fact that there's this level of corruption in our government. And so they won't vote for her. And the people in charge of the left party won't let her become the nominee. So she has no chance. I completely don't even care about what she does.
Yep, that's fair enough. I saw a comment in a chat from our old friend Texas Blue, James, who said, is Kamala on her third husband? And to that I would say, well, she's definitely been on one. The problem was it wasn't hers. So, you know. It's all well and good. Let's point to perhaps a bigger problem in news reporting in light of the various firings, James, of, you know, BuzzFeed, Huffington Post journalists being put by the wayside. Unfortunately, it's a tragic event. I'm wearing a black armband today. I'm sure you can see it here. No, just kidding. Just kidding. And one of the best, I was reading a lot of quotes from people associated with these publications, James, and they were saying things like, you know, it's a bit like when somebody dies. They can be the worst person walking around, but the day after they're dead, everyone says how good they are. Yeah. And it was like, oh, well, we're losing a lot of talent here. We've got special talented folks who really have their finger on the pulse. We are losing the most experienced, the most gifted journalists on God's green earth, James. But then I thought, well, why are they getting fired then? You know, if they're so good. Like you won't see, you know, the Pats firing the GOAT anytime soon. They're not going to be firing Tom Brady tomorrow, are they? You know, it's like, oh, we have to. Sorry, Tom, we have to let you go because you're too fucking talented, mate. No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, I'm afraid. But maybe the reasons why these people are going is this. I thought this was a fantastic article in the Washington Post. Sometimes a good thing seeps through. Sometimes a flower grows out of a pot of weeds, James. Look at this. This is fantastic writing. Twitter is the crystal meth of newsrooms. I knew they were all druggos. I knew it. I saw the future of political reporting half a dozen years ago, and I've been hoping to unsee it ever since. The guy must listen to me. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, brother. You should know that by now. If you're watching this Periscope, you would know by now. In the final week of August 2012, after Tropical Storm Isaac delivered a scouring rain to Florida's Gulf Coast, an army of scribes and pundits wilted in the humid aftermath at the gates of the Republican National Convention in Tampa. A presidential nominating convention is not the best place to find political insights, but it's not the worst either. One can learn something about up-and-comers by sampling the speeches that drone on all afternoon and evening. Nuggets can be mined from interviews with delegates. Most of all, a reporter can perhaps glimpse the nominees' inner self, not in what they show so much as how they choose to show it. For instance, after noticing that Donald Trump was staging his 2016 convention as a mashup of reality TV and professional wrestling, a reporter could be braced for the hyperbolic and improvisational melodrama of Trump's presidency. But in the coolness of the press section of what was then known as the Tampa Bay Times Forum, I observed something I've never seen in 7 prior conventions. The seats were filled, but hardly anyone glanced at the stage or the delegates. My colleagues had their laptops open to their tweet decks. Side by side in the dim glow of their screens, they monitored each bon mot and burp of Twitter's commentary of events. And just go down to the article here. Yes. A third vulnerability is our smart aleck gene. I'm not sure why journalism exerts such a pull on kids with the sharpest wisecracks, but if you spend 5 minutes in a stadium press box or aboard a campaign bus, you'll see these kids grown up. On Twitter, a perfect cynical comment or comeback can be savoured and shared by thousands. Pre-Twitter, the same gem might have only found a few paltry listeners to enjoy it. So it's no surprise that Twitter addiction is rampant among journalists. But the root of any addiction lies in the gap between the drugs world and the real world. My colleagues in Tampa were like experimental teens enjoying the buzz of Twitter's reaction to the convention instead of witnessing the actual convention itself. It's a new reality, right? This is what I've spoken about so many times with people reporting on Twitter and how easy it is to frame like these narratives and attack points. And the left has understood this for 10 years of Twitter because they know they can create fake movements of people just through retweeting, right? And they've done it so effectively when they come after companies, when they call for boycotts and stuff. I think people are starting to get aware of it now. But how many times do you see an article written like, oh, widespread outrage on Twitter, and they're quoting people like Long John 44 said, you know, I hate Donald Trump, and, you know, Silly B33 says, I will never vote Republican again. And this is used as some kind of consensus. And if you don't think Twitter is the crystal meth of newsrooms, here's one for you. The devil is coming. Twitter freaks out over sinkhole near the White House. Unfortunately, the metaphor department is furloughed. A sinkhole opened up near the White House on Tuesday, and Twitter wags immediately bought the gags. DC police shared a photo of the depression in the ground just 1 block away from President Trump's official residence. In response, tweeters cracked jokes about the significance of the sinkhole appearing during the longest government shutdown in US history, and noted that many others had formed during Trump's time in office. And if you want another example of Twitter being the crystal meth of newsrooms, here's somebody else reporting about something on Twitter. Why Cardi B's politics matter, James. Cardi B refuses to be silenced, proving the best way to neutralize right-wing trolls is to dog walk them. There you go. So she got into a spat online with Tommy Lahren. It went viral, James. Apparently this spat went viral, and now you're being told, look at the last line of this article here. In a true democratic society, anyone should be able to share their political opinions without being berated by pundits tweeting disgusting things in response. Bravo! Well done. Well done. By the way, is Milo Yiannopoulos back on Twitter yet? Are they back yet? No, didn't think so. However, as online harassment trends show, we still have a long time to go before that happens. Fortunately, that doesn't appear to be stopping Cardi B, whose fierce resistance to being silenced will only inspire more women to speak up and stand their ground too, even when the trolls roll in. If you're unfamiliar with Cardi B's work, she's the one who said, the motherfucking president is got in the shutdown. Yeah, Obama had a shutdown too. That was for your motherfucking health care, y'all. So your grandma can go see them gynecologist. Okay? So your motherfucking rednecks need to understand because our country in a hellhole right now. All right? In case you missed it.
By the way, I still have no fucking idea who Cardi B is. Like, what did she ever sing? I have no idea. So that tells you that, yeah, this again, these, look, I want to say this and people are going to go, wait a minute, what? Okay, let me say this, is that I don't want Twitter to fix itself. Now, why? Why do I say that? Because my friends over at, follow them at Zap Holdings Inc., we're creating the solution to these fucking idiots. And we're creating it so that it works across every single platform. We're not creating a new place for you to go, although that is also part of it. We're creating a way to reuse what you're already using and take their ability to completely censor you out of the picture. So I'm glad that they've decided that they want to be censors all the way around because they're going to destroy themselves, and I'm going to provide the rock for them to crash against. So having said that, go visit Zap Holdings Inc. and join us in our mission to take these fucks out. But that's a great point that you brought up, is that why is Milo Yiannopoulos not back on Twitter? Why is Alex Jones not back on Twitter? Why are people being suspended like Laura Loomer completely for the rest of their lives, right? Why is these things happening? Because they're afraid of us. That's why we have trolls that have nothing to do but follow us around Periscope. Literally. There's one in the room right now that thinks he's a successful lawyer that has become a fucking troll. Like, think about that. Think about what that means. That guy is such a shitty lawyer, he's reduced to trolling my scopes. He follows me around like a little puppy dog. Why? Because they're afraid. Because we make a difference. Because we control the narrative. Because we make sure you get the correct information. And we shoot these fucks down every single step of the way. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. If they weren't afraid, they have no reason to be here. Because they clearly don't agree. So they clearly don't like what we have to say. And they clearly aren't learning a damn thing. And they clearly don't have anything better to do with their time. Pretty simple.
That's okay. They're always welcome. They're always
welcome.
Yeah,
they're definitely welcome. We didn't block them. They're still welcome to be here. It just, it points out, it highlights the fact that they got nothing better to do with their life.
No, it's okay if you want to come in. If you're a hardcore progressive troll and you want to come in and tell us about my motherfucking healthcare, Obama shut down the government so your grandma can get her pussy checked at a gynecologist, y'all. If you want to do that, that's fine. I don't mind. We should get Cardi B on the show. But I think that's a genuine conversation, right? What's happening on Twitter? On one hand, again, we're talking about. We're starting to see this clear delineation between, the quote unquote moderate, if they are out there, the reasonable Democrats who are like, you know what, going to Twitter and writing articles about what people say on Twitter and the amount of retweets that it get, it's probably not good. But they're also doing it because they know that Trump does it and it's effective, right? So they're not stupid. They're not stupid by putting this stuff out there. The other side is, well, we can't stop the revolution that's happening on Twitter, so we just need to do it more and be better at it. And that's where you get the Ocasio-Cortez's and the promotion of, Cardi B's rants and stuff like that, and the constant articles about Twitter. They want you to, they want all of your attention to be on, the short one-liners and, the thoughtless, shallow things, except when it's coming from the other side. Then they must be banned and they must be done away with. And speaking of people getting banned from Twitter, we've got another one for our hammering today, James. Let's rock and roll.
Oh, shit. It's time for the hammering. He caught me off guard again.
Gotcha.
Stop the hammering.
All right, something a little bit different today because both of our voices are absolutely ruined. James, because he's celebrating his 83rd birthday. Me, because it had a big Australia Day. James is getting a little bit long in the tooth for this game, I think. But today we're actually going to outsource our hammering to the one and only Roger Stone. Now, I know Roger Stone is a pretty divisive character out there, even for people on the right. People either love him or hate him. Here's what I think about Roger Stone, James, and you can probably fire back at me before we get this clip rolling if you want. I think that there's a reputation about Roger Stone where it's probably exaggerated, and I think a lot of that comes from Roger himself. So, you know what I mean? But which is fine in, his line of work. It probably helps him quite a bit. And so obviously you read the reports over the weekend of, his front door getting kicked down, basically SWAT teams there pointing assault rifles in his face. It was a bit ridiculous, but I wanted to show this because this is how you deal with, the quote unquote corporate media, the fake news in live time. He absolutely destroys George Stephanopoulos on every single point that he makes. And it's quite a sight to behold. So let's rock and roll with Roger Stone.
With overwhelming evidence that Trump's team tried to cover up contacts with Russia, but no prosecutions for conspiring with Russia.
What?
Is this the end of the beginning for Mueller, or the beginning of the end? What happens with Roger Stone, a big piece of that puzzle. He starts us off this morning. Roger, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate you being here, but I have to say, this is pretty unusual strategy. Most people indicted go underground until the official proceedings. What do you hope to gain with interviews like this?
Well, I must tell you, George, I think the way I was treated on Thursday is extraordinary. I think the American people need to hear about it. 66 years old. I don't own a firearm. I have no prior criminal record. My passport has expired. The special counsel's office is well aware of the fact that I'm represented. The idea that a 29-member SWAT team...
Right now, somebody is in the ear of George Stephanopoulos going, cut this off, don't make him look human.
...in full tactical gear with assault weapons would surround my house, 17 vehicles in my front yard, including 2 armored vehicles, a helicopter overhead.
Jesus Christ! They fucking used a helicopter? Holy shit! What were they hoping to fucking catch? I mean, like the most thing he's gonna be like, they're gonna catch him doing at whatever 5 in the morning is having some kind of weird sex orgy.
That's exactly what I was going to say. To be fair to the good men and women of the FBI, James, they just heard that he had the bowl out with everybody's keys in it. So that's what they were showing up for. They dressed the part.
Onto a canal. And that I would open the door looking down the barrel of assault weapons, that I would be frog marched out front barefooted and handcuffed when they...
To be fair, getting frog marched out barefooted and handcuffed could be a regular Saturday night at the Stone household, I'm not sure.
Simply
but
could
Roger,
have
let me just,
contacted me. I think people need to know about it.
Got to cut him off. Got to cut him off.
Standard for that to happen.
Standard! Holy shit! It's standard? Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta be real with the audience for a minute. I have been arrested. I have had cops show up at my house to arrest me for the same basic kind of more bullshit than what he's being charged with, literally. Like traffic tickets that you don't pay, they take those more seriously than that. So having cops come up to pick me up, I didn't have 29 fucking cops, 2 tanks, and a fucking helicopter to arrest me for traffic tickets.
Don't forget the boats in the canal behind the back, James, just in case you wanted to swim to Canada.
He said standard.
Canada, you know what I mean? It's fantastic, isn't it? Utterly fantastic.
That's what our Justice
standard at all.
People say. They say we're concerned you were a flight risk. They were concerned you might tamper with evidence. They were concerned you might destroy evidence. So they did that. And even you, by your own testimony, by your own admission, said that the FBI agents were courteous. So let's get on.
No. Let me address that, if I may. First of all, I was released on a surety bond on my own signature, which is evidence that I was not a flight risk. And secondarily, I've been under investigation for 2 years. I've destroyed nothing. But if I were going to destroy evidence, wouldn't I have done it a long time ago? They could simply have called my lawyers, and I would have turned myself in.
That's a question.
This was an expensive show of force to try to depict me as public enemy number 1, the OG.
The OG.
In an attempt to poison the jury pool.
Well,
these are Gestapo tactics.
Let's get right to what may be the most explosive paragraph.
Let's move on. Let's quickly move on, Jace. I actually saw you were talking about the 29 agents and how it's not standard. I saw a fantastic tweet earlier. I can't remember who said it, but they said that they actually sent more agents, more armed people to collect Roger Stone than they did Osama bin Laden.
They did. Hey, I say this: they didn't send tanks for Osama. They did send 2 helicopters, though. So he did get beat on the helicopters, but they crashed one of those. So, Jesus Christ.
In the indictment right there on page 4. Mueller and his team write, after the July 22nd, 2016 release of stolen DNC emails by Organization 1, that's WikiLeaks, a senior Trump campaign official was directed to contact Stone about any additional releases and what other damaging information Organization 1 had regarding the Clinton campaign. Stone thereafter told...
Yeah, a good comment in the chat there by Kitty Lover was made for TV, and that is 100% true. We know that because CNN was at his house before the Raiders were.
That's
before the FBI was. They were there at the exact same time to capture all of the goings-on live on camera and beam it around the United States. How the hell did that happen? How the hell did that happen, James? Hang on.
They have literally, the standard operating procedure, no bullshit, literally called up mafia bosses and told their lawyers, have your mafioso capo show up for arrest tomorrow at noon. They called Weinstein's lawyer, who's accused of pedophilia and sex trafficking and rape, called him up and had his lawyer send him to turn himself in. But for this 66-year-old man that literally is being charged with lying to Congress, end stop, full stop, end of it. That's the whole sentence. That's the whole charge. Lying to Congress. They sent in the fucking Marines. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. And they also sent the CNN camera crew so they could be there on the front lawn live as it happened. If that isn't enough to tell you what the actual angle of this is, what the purpose of this is, then nothing will tell you. Like, it couldn't be an accident. There was no way that the CNN camera crew was just cruising down the street at the same time that the FBI arrived. That didn't happen. Somebody at the FBI called them up and said, get your camera crew down here. We're going to go get him. Make sure you beam this back to office stat. It's a media campaign. It's a PR campaign.
The Trump campaign about potential future releases of damaging material by Organization One. Stone also corresponded with associates about contacting Organization One in order to obtain additional emails damaging to the Clinton campaign. You said you believe that senior official was Rick Gates, the deputy campaign chair?
Yes, who I believe is seeking a reduction in his sentence. Later on, there's a reference to an exchange between Steve Bannon in which he asks me about a public event, Julian Assange's press event on October 7th, and I respond with two matters that have already been published by Politico and The Guardian, completely public information. One, that there are security concerns by Assange in the embassy in Ecuador, and secondarily, as Politico reported, that there would be weekly dumps of information every week for 10 weeks with all U.S.-related information, election-related information, released in the weeks before the election.
So Rick Gates
none of that proprietary or secret.
So Rick Gates, though, did contact you about getting information?
That is speculation on my part. In all honesty, I have no emails.
Well, you would know if you spoke with him.
I have no text message that reflect. I never spoke about this matter with Rick Gates, but I'm mindful of the special counsel's ability to induce people to say things that are not true, particularly people who are seeking a reduction in their sentence or people who have an axe to grind. I urge the president to fire Steve Bannon. That piece which I wrote for the Daily Caller showed up on Drudge, and therefore it had a major impact. I suspect that I'm not his favorite person. But notice I am not charged with conspiracy or with having advanced knowledge of the content.
I said that at the top.
Or the substance. Or substance of the WikiLeaks disclosure.
Do you know who directed Rick Gates to contact you?
I don't know that anybody did. I guess we'll find out at trial. But to have Wolf Blitzer on CNN or Preet Bharara, a man accused of a federal judge of willfully leaking grand jury testimony to the media, speculate that was Donald Trump, that is baseless, irresponsible speculation. Well, I never discussed this matter with candidate Trump or President Trump. As I told you previously,
you said that to me,
and that remains the case.
Yeah, you said that.
Michael Cohen couldn't wait to get behind closed doors and flip on Donald Trump, could he? Oh, Trump told me to do everything. Trump directed the whole show. Trump is the bad guy here. Look at what Roger Stone's doing. He's doing the opposite. He's going on the enemy media and actually pinning his flag to the mast, isn't he?
Yep.
He's picking his team right here, ladies and gentlemen. You have Jerome Corsi on the other side who's saying, well, you know, Donald Trump was involved, Roger Stone was involved. Stone's not an idiot. And you see the way he bats it back by bringing up examples. What do we do on this show? Look at the two sources that he cited as evidence for him not having secret knowledge of WikiLeaks, Politico and The Guardian.
That's right.
Right? Politico and The Guardian printed it. So how could I be wrong?
Oh, absolutely. I got something that we need to hear real quick. Ready? We need to hear this real quick.
An unconstitutional hoax. An unconstitutional hoax.
I just wanted to make that clear that that's what's going on. And by the way, for our favorite troll in the chat room, bring all the charges you want. Roger Stone is literally fucking Teflon. He does not care. You are not going to pressure this man into some lying bullshit because Roger Stone is smart enough to know. He knows. He's got these guys by the balls. He loves this. We had a chat in a chat room comment that said that too, that this is Roger Stone's dream come true because now Roger Stone, remember, Roger Stone did a Netflix piece all about Get Me Roger Stone, all about I am the reason. I am the power. I am the guy you don't want to admit you like. Like literally, he loves this shit. This is what he lives for. This is, and he's literally out of his own mouth said, I am the dirty tricks master. Come at me, punks. Like, literally, this is his dream come true. I can't wait for this fucking reality TV. This is going to be fun.
To me in the past, you never discussed WikiLeaks or Julian Assange with President Trump. But have you ever had any conversations with the president during the campaign or since the campaign about Russia or the Mueller investigation?
None whatsoever.
See, it's the kind of question that the audience would go, yeah, let's feed off that. But it's an idiotic question, because he could have had a conversation with his longtime friend Donald Trump about the Mueller investigation. That wouldn't prove any kind of criminality. That wouldn't prove any kind of collusion. But Stone's too smart for that. He just says, nope. Never. See, I find that hard to believe personally. I think at some point he probably did discuss the Mueller investigation. He's just not going to tell your ass about it, George.
Zero.
Categorically.
Zero. Look at him laughing. Look at him laughing.
Distancing himself from you in a tweet last night. He wrote, Roger Stone didn't even work for me anyway.
He's saying categorically zero. Never mentioned it. Never talked about it. He'd have to bite on a lemon to keep from smiling.
We're near the election. Does that concern you?
No, not really. I mean, when Sarah Sanders says this has nothing to do with the president, she is correct. I never discussed these matters with the president. And everything that I did regarding trying to get as much public attention to the WikiLeaks disclosures among voters, among the media, is constitutionally protected free speech. That's what I engaged in. It's called politics, and they haven't criminalized it, at least not yet.
Oh my God, he just smacked Stephanopoulos upside the head. Oh my God, that was great.
Politics, George. It's called politics, okay? That's not criminalized, at least not yet.
No, we have an allegation that is yet unproved in any U.S. court of law.
This was a good one. Listen to this. So George Stephanopoulos says, yes, but what about the entire intelligence community agreeing that Russia hacked the DNC, James? Look at the way, this is the way you deal with these people. This is the way you deal with it. He goes, I wouldn't go like into the lion's den and do it, but Stone knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing too well. Look at the way he beats this back.
Free speech, but we now know from U.S. intelligence and Robert Mueller that Russia was behind that hack of the DNC emails.
No, we have an allegation that is yet unproved in any U.S. court of law. It is an allegation.
Well, but we have
the same people.
The unanimous recommendation, the unanimous conclusion of the U.S. intelligence agency. So given that, do you regret the role
intelligence agencies are politicized, as we know? They also told us Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
So you don't regret your role in disseminating those emails?
I didn't disseminate any emails. That would be a mischaracterization of what I did. All I did was publicize the fact. I didn't. I think that they were devastating, and the entire question of where they.
See, he just gives George nothing. It's always attack, right? He doesn't play defense. Always on the front foot. This is a great little microcosm. This is a great little lesson of what we're trying to, pass on here, right?
Yes.
No, there's no defense. There's no defense.
They came from and how they were published is meant to distract from the content of those emails, which demonstrated the corruption and the dirty tricks of the Clinton campaign.
Well, mostly, the U.S. intelligence agencies actually completely disagree. They say what was.
See, right now, some producer at ABC is going, "Oh God, why did we get him on? Why did we get him on? This was never going to be an easy attack, was it?"
I predict he's about to smack George upside the head here, because George is making another allegation that's saying he literally is stating a fact that's not a fact. He's saying, we know from intelligence agencies. Please bring one of your intelligence sources on the air, George. Just please, produce one. Produce one that didn't work for Barack Obama in a political position. Because the only fucking morons talking that shit are people who all lied to Congress, which helps who? Roger Stone again. Clapper, Comey, Brennan, even Lynch. I mean, literally, anything he has to say right here, I guarantee Roger's about to smack him again.
Well, that line about the 17, like all the 17 agencies agree, didn't that actually come from Clapper when he was DNI? And he said, I think that all 17 agencies would agree, or something like that. Right. And then that gets morphed into, like, as if somebody sat down with all of the heads of these agencies and asked them individually, okay, do you think they did it? Do you think they did it? Do you think they did it?
Right. I wonder if our favorite troll could name 17 intelligence agencies, and as he did, if we could just laugh at every one that he mentions above, probably like Fox. I think one of them quoted is like the fire marshal.
And by helping that cause, aren't you aiding and abetting an adversary of the United States?
What?
First of all, I challenge that characterization. It is unproven. It is a claim. I tried to do.
Aren't you aiding and abetting an adversary of the United States? Aiding and abetting, isn't that what you do to fugitives? Right. Shit, who put the warrant out on Vladimir Putin? Holy cow.
The same thing that Daniel Ellsberg did, for which the New York Times and the Washington Post called him a hero, although I never received any stolen or hacked material and handed it to anyone. All I did was take publicly available information and try to hype it to get it as much attention as possible, because I had a tip. The information was politically significant and that it would come in October.
On Friday, you were arrested, but Mueller's team also and the FBI executed search warrants of your home in Florida and up in New York City as well. Do you have any idea what they were after, and are you worried about what they will find?
No, not in the slightest. I am concerned that they took a number of privileged communications between me and my attorneys. But in all honesty, I have been under surveillance for 2 years. My email...
Do you see what he's doing there too by putting that out there?
Ooh, yeah. That's a big one.
Yep. Yep. And because if he gets that out there as well, then what happens to any future information that might just come to light in the future? What can he say?
Yeah.
He can say, well, that was privileged information. You can't use that. That's attorney-client privilege there, brother.
And what's hilarious is the supposed attorney troll in our audience is cheering on breaking of the oath of attorney-client privilege. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Well, the police state does mean good times for lawyers, James. You know, there's a lot of work when everybody's getting arrested for nothing.
My text messages, my phone calls have been fully reviewed. We know that because they've asked people who are associated with me about specific items before the grand jury. The New York Times reported on January 20th, 2017, that I was among 3 Trump aides under surveillance in 2016. We hope to learn more about that in Discovery. The Times will
Discovery. We're going to Discovery.
Bingo.
We're going to Discovery. You know what Roger Stone was saying 6 months ago?
Yeah.
I bet you there was a Pfizer warrant on me too. I bet you there was a Pfizer warrant on me too.
He can't wait for this shit. Discovery of this trial is massive, people. Massive. This is a fucking win and a chicken dinner right here. It's freaking amazing.
By the way, just a reminder, Donald Trump and Roger Stone have been close friends for over 30 years, right? Just, hey, Roger, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
And I believe it to be true. And so there is nothing to find. I do have 1 million emails. They have been reported, many of them taken out of context in this indictment, but there is nothing to find. Again, I think it is designed to intimidate me or perhaps seek personal information that it can be used to embarrass me, but has nothing to do with WikiLeaks, Russia, the 2016 campaign, or anything else.
And just to be clear, have you destroyed or discarded any communication devices since the campaign?
Just to be clear, if George should be saying, hey, do you remember how Hillary Clinton and her aides were hitting iPads and phones with hammers to destroy them? You've been doing that shit too, Roger? Were you doing that, Rog? I wonder if he brings it up.
Categorically not. My lawyers have been insistent on this. We very early had a request from both the Senate and the House. We have destroyed nothing whatsoever.
You say you won't bear false
opportunity
witness
missed.
President Trump. Are you prepared to tell the truth about your dealings with him to the special counsel, your truth about your dealings with the campaign? Any chance you'll cooperate with special counsel Robert Mueller if he asks?
That's a question I'd have to determine after my attorneys have some discussion. If there's wrongdoing by other people in the campaign that I know about, which I know of none, but if there is, I would certainly testify honestly. I'd also testify honestly about any other matter, including any communications with the president. It's true we spoke on the phone, but those communications are political in nature. They're benign, and there is certainly no conspiracy with Russia.
Go ahead, James.
Oh, that's big. That's big what he just did. He just twisted their narrative for them. He literally just pretzeled up George Stephanopoulos right there. Stephanopoulos tried to put him on the back foot, and Roger Stone used it to completely spin the narrative right there live, right in his face, to say, yes, I absolutely, if for some reason that somehow that I don't know, that I know something that somebody else was a criminal somewhere, absolutely, I would absolutely 100% tell the truth. 100% I'm on the side of justice. He just politically positioned his position perfectly where he needed to be and then followed that up with, that's why I will be completely 100% transparent and honest about communications with the President of the United States. And there was absolutely no collusion with Russia. I'm telling you, folks, buckle up because it's about to get fun.
The President's right. There is no Russian collusion.
And he's never suggested to you in any way, shape, or form that he might offer you a pardon?
Absolutely, positively not. I have never discussed a pardon. The only person that I have advocated a pardon
They're desperate, aren't they? They're desperate. If you're George Stephanopoulos at this point, James, and the guy is on your, like, it's not like he's in shackles. It's not like he's coming to you live from a prison cell here. If you're already asking about pardons, you know you've got nothing, right? Because then you have to make the story that what he's doing with that question is if Roger Stone was silly enough, and he wouldn't be, to say, yeah, I think President Trump would give me a pardon, then the story becomes Roger Stone's not going to go to jail for even though he's guilty because Donald Trump is going to pardon known criminals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Previously is a possible.
I just want to point out, because it's so perfect, that our favorite troll likes to point out right now. I'm gonna. This is how much I fear you, Texas. I am going to read your comment live on my show on the air. Your retarded comment is, let's make Roger out and attack Roger because Roger. This is the quote. Quote, Texas Blue. Roger Stone is fucked up. He had Tricky Dicky Nixon's face tattooed on his back. What?
Yep.
Wait. That's what you got? That's your bullet? Let's attack Roger because he's got a Nixon tattoo? What you should learn from this is that Roger Stone has been in the power positions of our government since the 60s. Do you understand that this man is not a fool? That this man's life is public information? That his fingerprints are all over our government? Both sides. If there was ever a person in the history of the Democrat Party that knew where all your bodies were buried, it's Roger Stone. So before you celebrate Roger Stone being in a position to present discovery to the American people, yes. Oh man, you really need a new job because you suck as a troll.
Like, what do you think Roger Stone's lawyers are going to be asking him when he's on the stand? You're right. Like, how do you think they're going to be framing the questions? It's not going to be, oh, this is going to bring down Donald Trump. Oh, no. You know, people like to talk. People like to throw the word leverage around right now. I don't know anyone who has any more. This guy's career was about knowing things that you don't want the public to know in politics. If you're in politics and you've got a skeleton in the closet, Roger Stone's job was to find out what it was. That was his job. And he used it to make money, right? So he's a pretty cold bastard too at the same time, right? Like he's not your favorite grandfather at a barbecue. No, that's not Roger Stone, right? That's not Roger. So when he gets up on the stand, it's going to be hell if he gets to the stand. See, the other thing too. They might actually pull out of this. If they were smart, they'd say, we can't put Roger Stone on the stand. There's no way. We can't let it go that far. I suspect that's what it's going to be in the end.
Oh, yeah.
It'll actually be the Mueller team. Nope.
Right? I agree with you. Go ahead. Go. I agree with you. I'm fucking cheering what you're saying because, yeah, it's absolutely spot on. Fuck yeah. Are you kidding? These guys don't want Roger Stone anywhere near a fucking courtroom. Nowhere.
Pardon for Marcus Garvey, and I have written the president as to why I think that should be done.
Prosecutors have looked at this case, say you might need a pardon because they say it's a slam case, including Chris Christie, who's coming up on the program later. You
see the comment and then just leading into the next question.
You denied having any documents or text messages discussing WikiLeaks or Assange, but the prosecutors in the indictment lay out several emails, dozens of text messages.
Oh.
You know, they're right. I did forget on some occasions that I had text messages and emails that are entirely exculpatory and prove that everything I said before the House.
Stop you right
Look at the satisfaction on his face. Look at the satisfaction on his face. He's like, yeah, I did forget that I have shit that actually clears my name. I wish I didn't. I wish I had brought that up sooner, right?
Say you forgot. On the day you testified, you didn't have any exchanges with Mr. Credico. You had 30 exchanges, 30 text exchanges with Credico on the day you said you didn't remember it.
Mr. Credico, a man who threatened to put a bullet in the head of one of Mueller's witnesses before the grand jury, but is not charged with witness tampering.
Oh, really? You're going to reference Randy Credico now? Oh, let me tell you something about Randy Credico.
Wow, he is kicking Stephanopoulos' ass.
The grand jury about being my source regarding the significance of the WikiLeaks disclosures. A man who threatened me in writing to have a woman falsely accuse me of sexual assault.
The text messages have nothing to do with anything else having to do with him. The text messages are the text messages. They're documents.
I will prove in court that any failure of memory on my part was without intent and would be immaterial. I am human, and I did make some errors, but they're errors that would be inconsequential within the scope of this investigation.
You're also accused of tampering with Mr. Credico. I want to show some of the exchanges you had with him on multiple occasions. This is from the indictment. On multiple occasions, including on or about December 1st, 2017, Stone told Person 2 Credico that Person 2 should do a Frank Pentangeli for HPSCI in order to avoid contradicting Stone's testimony. Of course, Frank Pentangeli, a character in the film The Godfather Part 2, which there's Stone and Credico discussed.
Do you see that in the indictment they're actually putting like that's not common, is it? Like saying, oh, what he's talking about here is a character from the film The Godfather Part 2. See, people have said before that these kinds of indictments and this process is actually used to start the muckraking process. So you can get everybody, because you can slander somebody in a court case, right? Yep. Like you can file a court case saying, hey, this guy fucks pigs. He walks around with a top hat strapped to his crotch. He's crazy. He does all sorts of things. He murders people. And then when it actually gets to court, they throw it out. But the slander is actually done in the filing of the court case itself, because that's what gets reported on. And that can be spread around the news. So you get around the law that way, right?
Yep.
So it wouldn't surprise me if this is happening here. And we're talking about grand juries as well. The problem with a grand jury is you don't hear the defense side. This comes from a grand jury where it's only the prosecution that presents their case. Only the prosecution. There's no cross-examination. There's no defense in there. They don't get represented, right?
There's no discovery, and they don't have to present all the evidence. They only have to present the evidence they choose. And they don't need 100% of the grand jury to get to an indictment, because it's all about the public agreeing that we should see a trial, so that because, well, it sounds like there might be something going on. That's it. That's like literally it.
Exactly.
For a congressional committee, and in that testimony claims not to know critical information that he does in fact know. So you were telling him not to tell the truth.
No, not at all. If you saw the actual exchange, first of all, Mr. Credico is an impressionist. He does Humphrey Bogart. He does Jack Nicholson. He does Richard Nixon. He does Bill Clinton. The exchange we talked about is Roger Stone this, Roger Stone that. Roger Stone was in the olive oil business with my father, but that was a long time ago. It is has to be seen in context. It is a humorous exchange. So are they taking things out of context and present them in a light that it mischaracterized their...
He's owning this. He's completely owning this.
Significance. I never told Mr. Credico to lie. I did at one point when he said, my liberal friends will be very upset, my progressive friends will be upset if they believe I was helping you, because they would think I was helping Trump. It was only in that context that the Fifth Amendment protections were discussed.
Final question. You're in good shape, but you're not a young man, 66 years old.
What?
Are you prepared to spend the last best years of your life in jail?
Oh, come on.
Oh my God!
I saw today. I was reading today, James. Remember that girl? What's her name? What was her name? Oh, Chastity Winner or something? Chelsea.
Yeah. Charity
Winner. That's the one. Yeah, she got 76 months for leaking classified information. right, from a government department. 76 months. They're trying to make out like Roger Stone's going to spend the next 30 years in jail because he had an exchange with a radio host pretending to be a character from The Godfather Part 2.
That I expect to be acquitted and vindicated, and that my attorneys, including Bruce Rogow, one of the very best attorneys in the country, Grant Smith, Rob Bushell, and Tara Kimpian, believe that this indictment is thin as piss on a rock.
Reality Winner. That was her name. I fucked that up. It's Reality Winner.
Reality Winner.
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious.
Maybe today's winner of the reality award can go to Roger Stone, who just said on George Stephanopoulos' morning show that my lawyer says this indictment is as thin as piss on a rock. There you go. There's your hammering, Roger Stone.
Oh my
God. Stop the hammering.
What a freaking show. As you can see, I am in Hawaii. The sun has decided to get into a position that my studio is now fucking everything up with the lights. It looks like Boogie Bumper is going into the poltergeist. Go into the light! Go into the light! It is ridiculous. I swear to God, some days I might be the worst producer on Periscope. But having said that, I want to play something for you before we go out. It'll be perfect for you guys on the way out. So I'm going to bring this up full screen and cover up the nastiness that's all over my screen right now. And I want you guys to see this. If you haven't seen this, I think it's freaking hilarious and you have to see it. If I can make it play.
Witch hunt!
That's not what I meant to play. Wait.
CBS reports that in the Roger Stone indictment, data was released during the 2016 election to damage Hillary Clinton. Oh, really? What about the fake and unverified dossier? A total con job paid for by crooked Hillary to do damage to me and the Trump campaign. What about all of the one-sided fake media coverage, collusion with Crooked H, that I had to endure during my very successful presidential campaign? What about the now revealed bias by Facebook and many others? Ha! Roger Stone didn't even work for me anywhere near the election. Witch hunt!
Brilliant.
I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all you do for us, for me, for Boogie Bumper. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Real Person, PLTCS. If you want to follow him, you can follow him at Boogie Bumper. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at TAV Show, and you can always find all our previous episodes at TAVshow.com. And trolls are always welcome. Aloha. Everybody have a great day.